Hello everyone, and in today's video we're gonna go over 5 mistakes that are possibly destroying your YouTube automation videos. So this is a common thing that people often ask me, and so if you're probably posting videos on your YouTube automation channel and are wondering why your videos aren't working, you may have perhaps fallen into a trap of committing or still doing one of these 5 mistakes. So let's get started with the video. So first off, why is video engagement or audio or audience retention important on YouTube? And I have 3 solid reasons why, but the first reason is that you've gotten people to click. The next step of kind of overcoming the hurdle is keeping people engaged with your video. So if you think about YouTube with a hierarchy tiered system, number 1, you create the video. Number 2, you get people to click on the video. And in number 3, now you have to get those people to watch your whole video, which is why video engagement is important. The second thing is that you're probably paying for these YouTube automation videos. With this model of YouTube, it highly involves outsourcing and scaling your YouTube channels. As a single individual myself, there's no way that I can hands down create all these videos that I'm creating for my channels. And likewise for you, even if you're only working on a single YouTube automation channel, there's no way you can do all the work. I've created these videos before and it takes a very long time. So with that being said though, I assume that you're most likely paying for the video or at least putting some invested time into it, whether it's you're investing time or investing money. You're definitely investing something for these videos, which is why it's important to make sure that your video engagement is solid. Now, the last reason why video engagement is important is because it's YouTube's ultimate metric for deciding whether or not your video is good. You can get a 20% or higher click-through rate, but if your audience engagement is only like 5%, most likely YouTube is going to kick your video out of the algorithm. So it's YouTube's ultimate metric of deciding and being able to monitor how many watch hours is this video actually bringing us, So out of a 10-minute video, let's say that your video engagement is 50%. Every time someone watches your video, you're basically bringing in 5 minutes of watch time onto the YouTube platform. That is YouTube's ultimate metric and how it ties into video engagement. The higher the video engagement, the better. Okay. So I am a strong believer that you can have a mediocre click-through rate, but if the video engagement is extremely high, I'd much rather have that than having a video with a high click-through rate with a very low video engagement. So now let's get started with the 5 mistakes that you might be committing when it comes to running your YouTube automation channel. So mistake number 1 is that your intro is too long. Oftentimes I watch YouTube videos and I'm guilty of running this on some of my channels as well, in which I want a fancy intro, or sometimes I spend way too long talking about stuff that people aren't necessarily clicking on the video for, So with that being said, often there's mistakes of people who create intros that are too long. I'm talking about those flashy animated intro reveals that kind of brand your channel. A good intro, I'd say, is like less than 3 seconds long, because I do believe in brandability. And I get it that some people want to include an intro within their videos and make it brandable. So ideally, let me write down here. Make your branded intro less than 3 seconds long. There's no reason why it should be over 30 seconds long. There's definitely no reason why it should be over 45 seconds long. I know you and we've seen videos in which the intro is too long. And I'm not only talking about an intro clip. I'm also talking about taking too long to actually get to the meat of your video, So when people click on your video, they're clicking to obtain some sort of information or solution to their problem. And if it's taking 1 minute to finally answer their solution or answer their problem, or if it's taking 1 minute to finally start the meat of the video, then that is too long. Mistake number 2 is that you're spending too much time to ask people to subscribe. Believe it or not, on my YouTube automation channels, once a month, I get together with my team and we work on deciding, kind of trying to figure out patterns in which, why are people dropping off at certain points of a video? And believe it or not, we used to have within our videos, maybe like a 5 to 15 second segment asking people to subscribe. And it would actually get people to drop off from the video. And the reason why I think this is because Number one, let me write down here, it interrupts pacing. So imagine you're engaged within a video, you're kind of locked in, and all of a sudden the YouTube channel owner asks you to subscribe, and they spend about 5 to 15 seconds asking you to subscribe. It kind of interrupts the flow of the video. So number one, it interrupts the pacing of the video. Another reason why I think asking people to subscribe kind of gets people to drop off is because subscribing to a channel is obvious nowadays. I mean, the people on YouTube nowadays, they know that they can subscribe to a channel. They know where the subscribe button is. They pretty much know that it's an obvious thing nowadays. You know, it's not a foreign thing that people don't know how to subscribe to a YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell, simply just because so many YouTube videos ask people to do it. So if you do want to ask people to subscribe to your channel, this is what I recommend. I recommend not spending any time at all asking people to subscribe, but including a subtle lower third asking people to subscribe. So what I mean by this is that you're spending zero time within your video asking people to subscribe to your channel, but maybe on the bottom lower third corner of the video, there'll be like a pop-up that says subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell. So I hope you understand what I mean, because it literally is just a lower third or an upper third, a little pop-up that doesn't really interrupt the pacing of the video, nor does it actually interrupt the video overall. But what it does do is that it reminds people to subscribe to the channel if you're actually in the game of getting people to subscribe to the channel. Okay? So mistake number 3 is that the content of your video is generally just not good. And so, as you know, respectful as I can say, I'm sure that some of you are actually posting videos in which the content generally is just not good. If the content's not good, this is a pretty straightforward mistake that people kind of have a hard time accepting. But if the content's just generally not good, you're not going to get a good average view duration. So let's move on to mistake number 4 now, in which the content of your video doesn't match your title. So me personally, this is probably the biggest mistake that my channels fall under, in which the content of my video doesn't match your title. And the reason this kind of falls into number 5, or sorry, this kind of falls into, you know, having too bad of a clickbait title, in which, you know, you think of an awesome title, it's so good, it gets people to click, you have a 20% click-through rate, but if the content of your video isn't matching what people are clicking on your video for, then that's going to lead to a poor average viewer duration. So again, me being guilty of this, there's been countless numbers of times in which I've thought of an amazing title that gets people to click, but sometimes my clickbait is too hardcore, and yeah, I admit that is a bad thing. So when people click on my video and what they're watching doesn't match the title of their video, that's when people drop off. That also leads to a poor average viewer duration. I do believe in positive clickbait though, in which if you can come up with a really engaging title and really clickbait title, and the content of your video matches that title, then that is a rock solid A-star, golden star type combination. All right. So moving on to mistake number 5. Mistake number 5 is the audio of your video is poor. So I'd much rather have a poor quality looking video with awesome audio than I would having a very good looking quality video with very poor audio. So let me go ahead and write that down so that makes sense to you. So in all honesty, audio technically does beat video quality. Okay. As I've said, if the video quality is poor, but the audio is good and the information is really good as well, then that totally beats video quality. But if the audio is not legible, if the audio is, you know, annoying, if it's very high pitched, or if it's basically you can't understand what the person is saying, then that is going to lead to a poor average viewer duration. I would much rather have good sounding quality audio rather than making my camera or making my background look good overall. So mistake number 6, which is a bonus mistake for you all, is that sometimes you think that there is a problem when there isn't. And what I mean by this is that if you have your average viewer duration and you're only getting like 10 views and you think your average viewer duration is bad, that's not the case, because you need a lot more views to actually make a reasonable conclusion that average viewer duration is your problem. So tying back to the title of the video, 5 mistakes that are destroying your YouTube automation videos. Don't try to think that there's a problem when there isn't, because sometimes your channel just may be too small for you to actually deem that there is a problem. So what I mean by this, to kind of simply put it, is that if you're posting YouTube automation videos and you're getting subpar view counts, and you're thinking that the problem is the quality or content of your video, you have to give it more time. Honestly, you have to give it more time, because making a decision based off only 100, 200 views is not a reasonable conclusion to make. And so with that being said, that's all I have for this video, everyone. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, do leave them down below. In addition, if you're interested, do join my Patreon community, in which I'll be making some drastic changes for my diamond members on there. And if you're wondering where I've been, I've actually been straight up highly invested into NFTs, but I do plan on posting once a week on this channel and helping people grow on YouTube, especially YouTube automation channels and such. So with that being said, that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.